This week, we're discussing a grab bag of topics, including the development of some high profile games and a massive update for PC players from PlayStation. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who didn't think it was possible for MLB teams to make blockbuster trades before the month of July. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, you gotta stay on your toes.
Yeah, apparently. You can just get shipped off after a game.
Yeah, apparently you can sweep your biggest rival, be back into a playoff spot, and be the best player on your team and get traded. Apparently that can all happen.
Well, that's what you get for not wanting to play first base. You thought I wasn't going to be up to date with this one, but I got you good. I sure did.
That's what you get for not wanting to play first base after saying that you'd be open to playing first base and the team saying, no, you're just going to be our everyday DH. And then when an injury happened, the team comes to you and goes, can you play first base? And you say, no, fuck you. I'm your DH.
The drama.
The levels of petty, amazing. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. This is exactly what sports needed.
I mean, yes and no. I feel like we got a decent bit of the arms folded, scowl on face, like I'm not gonna play unless you trade me. It's a big problem, I guess, in the NBA more than anything.
Yeah. Sometimes NFL.
But
usually those things are solved before the season starts, so.
Yeah. In baseball, you don't get these too often, but man, when you do, it's something.
Yeah. I saw another stat from this Red Sox Yankees series that they scored like a total of 6 runs or something like that. And it's the
Yankees scored?
No, I think combined. Is that true? I didn't watch any of the series, but Bloomberg was talking about it yesterday morning. And something was like the lowest scoring Yankees Red Sox series of the century. Or in a century.
I'm looking back. The Red Sox scored 8 and the Yankees scored 4. So they scored a total of 12 runs, which is actually kind of crazy. Like it was 2-1, 4-3, and 2-0 were the 3 games. Yeah. Absolute pitcher duels. But yeah, to anybody out there who doesn't care about sports, it might be worthwhile to figure out how to watch Red Sox Giants this Friday, June 20th.
Oh my God, they're playing this Friday already.
How fucking insane. Oh man.
Are they playing in Boston or in the Bay?
No, unfortunately they are not. They're playing in San Fran.
Okay.
But it'll feed families if Raffy hits one into the McCovey Cove.
Oh yeah.
Just gets a splashdown home run. Very first game against his former team.
I mean, that's the stuff that baseball is made out of. So you almost feel like it's
written in the
destined.
stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Either that or he's going to go 0 for 12 with 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, and then the Red Sox look like geniuses.
Yeah.
I saw people trying to make a big deal about this yesterday because they apparently immediately sent one of the people they traded for back down to the minors. Yeah, I don't know why that's a big deal, but they were all like prospects, right?
One guy is a major league reliever. One guy is call him like a quadruple A player. So he still kind of needs to develop, but he could play at the major league level. I think that's the guy. Kyle Harrison is the guy they sent down to the minors. He's
Gotcha.
he's kind of just like a weird in between, he's not quite major league ready, but has shown that he has the stuff.
That's kind of like how Acuna was last year for the Mets. Like
Yeah,
sometimes we'd see him in Syracuse, and then the next week he'd be in Queens, and then they'd send him back to Syracuse, and then back to Queens.
not that anybody cares, but another prime example of that, especially at Mets players, Brett Beatty, who like just
Hmm.
mashes at AAA, but then he gets called up and he bats like 200 and can't hit a ball to the stands.
Yeah,
Anyway, big fan of
he
baseball.
just got sent back down.
Yeah, yeah, he's just
Maybe I'll go
that
see him
in
in
between.
Syracuse this weekend.
There you go. That'd be fun.
Yeah, if they're playing, I should check.
um,
Now we're talking baseball. Oh wait, no, we can't say that. That's already a show, isn't it?
that is yeah, that is.
Is that John Boy?
I think so. Yeah,
See, they just did a partnership with the MLB.
I did. I
Good
did.
for them.
Yeah. Where's our partnership?
Yeah, with the MLB.
Look, we just spent 5 minutes talking about shit that nobody cares about. Give us
You could
money.
be the show correspondent
Yeah.
for the MLB
Yeah.
or advocate or something like that.
They already have so many of those.
But they don't have you.
So true. How you been? Tell me about the games you've been playing.
I pretty much only played Mario Kart, and not a lot of it. Basically, just free roam,
Okay.
trying to figure out how to wall ride.
Okay.
Someone figured that out. Apparently, it's just supposed to do it,
Oh,
but I don't know.
I kind of assumed it would be like like when you would go off jumps, if you like shook the controller a little bit, you'd get like the boost or whatever. I just kind of assumed that if you were close to a wall and kind of like you know did like a quick pullback, it would like hop. I don't know why. I just kind of assumed that would be the way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I obviously don't know. I tried to test my luck to see if I could find a Switch 2 this past weekend.
I just got my Nintendo pre-order thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my email decided it wasn't important to show me, which is fine because it's not anymore. But so maybe you got yours.
Maybe I did. Probably help if I actually checked my checked my email.
Yeah.
I have not.
Do you want mine?
Maybe. Oh, we'll have to.
I
Yeah,
should
I
see.
have
I
to.
don't know if I had like a certain amount of time to do it. I don't know
Yeah.
if I can just ship it to you or if I have to ship it to me and then mail it. So we're not going to use it. We're not going to get a second one. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's. We'll talk. We'll talk more about this.
yeah.
This might be.
So your venture into finding one did not work out.
My venture into finding one was that Shelby and I were out and about. We needed to go to Target for something, and while we were there, I was like, I'm just gonna run back there, and if they have one, I'll get one. But if they don't, like we're not doing a okay, let's go hit this Target and then this Best Buy. I mean, I'm in a pretty decent sized city, so like it probably doesn't work in my favor, honestly. And there
Yeah.
would just be too many things to try and hit to like really find one. And again, it's not that big of a rush, right? But like, it's one of those things where it's like if I were to walk into one of these stores and they had one, I'd probably just pull the trigger and get one.
I mean, I was pretty stoked to make that like my parameter for buying one of these. Like just to happen to walk into Walmart and they're like, yeah, we got one more.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
Oh, I
no.
love this thing even more. I don't feel entitled.
Yeah, no, it's sick, right? And like you didn't have to go through the hassle. But again, I'm not like staying up late waiting for Wario64 to tweet out that there's another restock. And
Yeah.
that's been the other thing. I have seen a couple of times. I was saying to Shelby that like the next time I see him post, I might also just like go that route because he posted one. I can't remember if it was Target, Best Buy, Walmart, whatever. It was one of them. And he literally like tweeted and was just like, it's obviously a pretty decent restock, and it doesn't have a ton of people flooding it, because he was like, I managed to add and remove it from my cart and like refresh 3 times without the site like crashing on him. So I was like, doesn't seem like it's going to be that much of a hassle if I just kind of like just have good timing, you know. Obviously, if you
Yeah.
see that like 30 minutes too late, yeah, they'll probably be sold out. But you don't have to worry about like the second they're back in stock, they're out of stock, which was the nightmare of the PS5 Series X.
Buying any console in recent years.
Oh my god, dude, it's terrible. But yeah, so no luck there on my end. Um, but yeah, just some Mario Kart, nothing else.
Yeah, that's been this week. Hopefully I don't leave home for a while.
Hell yeah, I heard that. I'm with you. Um, I don't really have any exciting updates on my end. We've been getting a lot of thunderstorms. Well, wait. First off, did I tell you about how my like Nintendo 64 power cord just like went?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've been having a lot of thunderstorms, and like, not that I'm like that worried about it, but I've been opting to not play old consoles during that, just in case. Like, I just don't want like power to trip and then the something bad happen to the Super Nintendo. Um, Not that the thing that happened to the Nintendo 64 was power related, or like because of like our power going out. I think the cord or power block or whatever just like had gone bad. Um, but nonetheless, we've been dealing with a lot of thunderstorms, and like specifically on days when we typically stream, so Mondays and Thursdays. So it's led to us like not being able to put a ton of time into Breath of Fire 2. Because yeah, I get worried and like don't want to like lose everything and or ruin my console. So anyway, we last night, because we were having thunderstorms, but we still wanted to stream, we decided to set up the Switch, because I was like, well, if the power were to go out, we don't have to worry about like losing everything, because it would just default into handheld mode and we'd be able to like save our game and all that stuff. Um, and we decided Shelby's been like kind of itching to get back into trying to play Pokemon. So she started playing Let's Go Eevee. Uh, just like, you know, the super simple anybody could play game, and it was a lot of fun. She doesn't understand type advantages and stuff like that yet, but we're getting there. And very, very, very relaxing game. So anybody who hasn't played Pokemon, so that's a good one to try and get you into the series.
I don't think I've even seen any of the Let's Go games with my own eyes.
It's just Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, and they're both like they're basically just yellow version. Um, they're just the Kanto region, and the original like 151, no super new Pokemon or anything like that. But it's like a very just like chill. You don't even battle wild Pokemon. Like you're just catching. And then you do trainer battles and stuff. But every like all your experience and stuff like that is tied to like catching Pokemon. And just makes for a very like simplistic gameplay loop. It's neat. It's a neat idea. Hardcore Pokemon fans, I'm sure, hate them. Um,
It's hard to like things these days. Hard
it
to like
is,
anything.
it is. But I'm a big fan of them. I don't think they're going to, but like I would have been down if they would have released like a Let's Go game for every like generation, basically, just like super delayed, obviously, so you don't need to do one every year, but like every new generation just release the Let's Go game for the next generation. So like whatever, we're on Gen 9 or Gen 10 for Pokemon, like when they released Scarlet and Violet, they should have just done, oh, and also in 6 months we're going to be releasing Let's Go Totodile and Let's Go Togepi or whatever, and that would be like the Let's Go game for the Johto region. But nonetheless,
Tell me when they've got Let's Go Bonsley.
Let's Go Bonsley. Bonsley, that would be what? That'd be Gen 3,
Pearl.
4? Gen 4. Yeah. That'd be
Could
fun.
do Let's Go Pseudo Udo.
They could. That would be Gen 2. Yep.
Gen 1. Would it be Gen 2?
It'd be Gen 2. No,
Hear
wait.
me out.
Yeah, it is. Gen 2. Okay, I'm listening.
Since we're going to talk about game development today.
Okay.
Pseudo Udo with guns.
Okay.
Pretty original idea, huh?
Power World?
What's that? Never heard of her. No, you play as Pseudo Udo and you have a gun.
Uh-huh.
What you do from there is up to you.
Okay. And this is like set in the Pokemon world?
Sure.
Or like you're Pseudo-Udo in like...
I mean, my brain immediately went to downtown LA, but that felt tasteless, so.
Okay.
And also just GTA 5.
Right. I was going to say, like, are you just Pseudo-Udo on like a realistic map, or are you... Yeah.
No, it's like a real city, but like Nintendoized.
Okay. So like New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You're
All
Pseudo
right.
Udo with a gun in New Donk City.
Okay. And there's no other Pokemon. You are just kind of like a fucking monster.
I didn't say that.
Okay. So there are potentially other Pokemon.
There could be like people walking their Pokemon down the street.
Okay. All right. And what's the goal?
To be Pseudo Udo with a gun.
Got it. Okay.
It's provocative. It gets people going.
Yeah,
That's the only point.
I'm not sure this has legs. But it might have roots.
I don't know that Pseudo Udo has legs, so I'll take that as a compliment.
Is this a good segue? Should we talk about some video game development stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
So in the past week, maybe 2 weeks for some of this stuff, we've gotten some fun and interesting stories about the development for certain games. One of those games was Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which I think Jason Schreier was actually the one to originally drop the article kind of about the flip-flopping that happened there. This one is one that is mostly, I think, still just like in a rumor phase. It hasn't fully been confirmed, but allegedly GTA 6 has had its story basically scrapped and redrawn out 3 separate times. And then the last one is just a fun peek into the mind of Hideo Kojima, who specifically said that he changed stuff in Death Stranding 2 because people were enjoying it too much. Which is just so fucking funny. But it kind of is just, I said to you, like, it kind of gives you a glimpse at just like the state of what it's like to make a game and just kind of the juggling act that can go into it, right? So kind of to start with Dragon Age, specifically since that's a game that is out, and kind of had, I would say, decent reviews, but obviously it struggled from a sales standpoint, especially by EA and BioWare standards and everything like that. But basically a lot of the reports are saying that Dragon Age Veilguard really had no true identity to begin with, and that was kind of like the biggest issue for it. It kept flip flopping, in terms of what management wanted from the game. I'm trying to see if I can figure out what the actual timeline was. Um, but at one point, uh, let's see. It originally started as a single player title. Then EA executives wanted it to be a multiplayer live service game, which is fucking insane for Dragon Age. That makes no sense. Um, it led to certain people resigning, and then the studio did commit to starting to work on an online multiplayer version of the game. Then after years of that, it was decided that no, this should be a single player game. And then BioWare was given just a year and a half, allegedly, to finish the game once returning to a single player setup. So just a lot of like flip flopping, snip snap, and then ultimately a game that kind of just lacked a true, identity and feel. And I think this is kind of in line with a lot of stuff that we see when it comes to games that release in such a questionable or for a lack of a better word, weird state. A lot of times you can kind of look back at like, well, what were the management decisions like?
Well, and especially when you get to um publishers like EA or Ubisoft or all these ones that just become like so massive and have
Mm-hmm.
so much oversight over so many other developers that, you know, how can you keep track? And then, when something's not going as planned, how fast can you reconcile it? And obviously, like, as we learned, EA and Ubisoft don't know anything about video games anymore,
Right, like they've
but
just
they
lost the
sure know how
plot.
to crunch the hell out of their developers.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, this isn't to like try and I don't want to necessarily um paint it like it's only the management's fault, because like it obviously still can very much be on the like the overall quality of the game can still also fall back on, the devs who are actually making it. But
Yeah, of course.
oftentimes, if something is rushed and again just like lacks that like through line, it's oftentimes directly correlated to poor management decisions. um but like BioWare and the developers could have been given all the time in the world, and they could have still made a mid game. Like that happens. It's not to say it's impossible, but you're certainly not set up for success in a situation like this where it's like, oh, a franchise that is been single player. I guess Dragon Age might have co-op because it's like a party system, so you might be able to have like you might be able to progress through the story together, but that's to me not what a live service multiplayer game sounds like. Um, that sounds like a totally different beast, and again, just strays so far from the core identity of Dragon Age. And then yeah, to flip flop back and not really be able to make up your mind, and then probably have the audacity to be angry that the game kind of came out in tepid circumstances is kind of par for the course right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I just feel like it obviously makes more of a statement when it's an IP that's been successful and been around a while.
Yeah,
Because then it's going to be
100%.
like hard to recover from this. I mean, I'm trying to think of another example right offhand, but you know, Dragon Age has such a good following, and then you put out a game like this, and when the reports are at least saying that, it's mostly EA's management, it's like kind of makes you lose all faith just because how often do games come back from this?
Not often. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of again, I think a lot of people understood like this whole report and like breakdown of it all probably wasn't necessary to a degree, right? Like I think we all could have come to this conclusion, but again, like it's just not surprising this is what we see. So then it's interesting
Mhm.
that you see a story like the GTA 6 one, which again, I do want to be clear. This is also from Insider Gaming, and they do clarify that the specific source who brought up a lot of this stuff is unproven at this point. So a lot of this should be kind of taken with a grain of salt. But allegedly, um, the GTA 6 story went through 3 different versions before they ultimately settled on this like Project America's uh, game that they then I think basically ran with since late 2019, maybe 2020. But again, this kind of goes to show this is something that you don't really think about necessarily with a big game like GTA 6. There's obviously a lot of work that goes into and a lot of care that gets taken before settling on something that you expect your fan base is going to either resonate with or just flat out enjoy. One of the stories was allegedly, the feedback was that like this is just like too dark, and that probably would be a little weird for GTA. I think um, I feel like GTA is kind of like a Foster the People song, where it's like it's all really upbeat and fun, and you're having a blast, and at the same time, terrible things are happening. but
Yeah, that's a good
but
works.
as long as you can dance to it, like it doesn't matter. you know? um
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean it's really interesting to see something like this, and allegedly this caused, one of the lead writers, Dan Houser, to actually like just step away. Like it just became, whether too annoying or whatever, which is also kind of completely fair. Um but it's again, it's like it's nice to get these types of stories because I think it's easy to kind of get lost just in the final product of a game and not think about all that went into it, to not think about why it makes sense that it took 6 years um after the previous game release to finally land on something that they felt was going to really deliver and you know be a step up or whatever, right? And then now the hope that it does actually deliver. I think it's good to it's a good thing to have like perspective on, and to like remember that like there is a ton of work that can go into these things.
Yeah, I feel like a game like GTA 6, again, talking about a game with a reputation, um, you feel like they just have these things figured out, right?
Right.
Like the writers can sit down on a table and know exactly what they're going to do. And but I think this really speaks to the brilliance of Take Two and Rockstar and um, their team there. Because when they put this out, it's going to be the best iteration of what could have been.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they could have been like, you know what, people are going to play this game to go on strange, murderous rampages listening to Foster the People. And that would have been fine. But they wanted to make sure the story was something that was at least interesting at worst and relatable at best.
Right.
Maybe not to the same extreme, but
GTA isn't just
I
trying
also
to make you a tree Pokemon with a gun and say, have fun. You know, like they're gonna
hey,
give you a little
hey,
more than that. there's
hey,
a sandbox to play in, but at the same time, you're gonna feel something at some point.
Pseudo Udo had to deal with a generation of people just walking up to him and cutting him thinking he was a tree to get to an HP up on the other side of a fern.
Go off, King.
He's had enough.
Yeah, fair. So fair. But yeah, I think with the Rockstar thing, and then for the next piece of all of this, all of these stories that are kind of around developing stuff, there's a lot of trust that needs to go into decisions like this, right? Like going back to the whole like Dragon Age thing, making those like quick decisions and like, oh, it's so easy. We're just gonna make a multiplayer game. Oh, you just spent
Mhm.
years on that, but we can easily convert this into a single player experience. Those types of things are just like very out of touch, very unrealistic. And I think obviously, maybe a stretch, but like if Rockstar was, similar minded, we would already have GTA 6, right? Um Making the
We would
story and
certainly
everything
have
like
it.
that. What's that?
Yeah, we would certainly have it, but it probably wouldn't have been as good.
Exactly, right. Like the creation of the story and everything like that is only one piece of the puzzle, and then obviously all the care and crafting that has to go into the overall experience that we are actually going to have in our hands, hopefully in May of next year. There's so much there, and in a similar
Mhm.
vein, the Kojima thing is like it's refreshing that he is doing it because it's like this like he wouldn't be doing this if he didn't have the utmost faith that it's not going to completely fuck up the entire thing. And so him him changing things because people are having too much fun and they're enjoying themselves too much is just so fucking funny and just so amazing. But like you have faith and trust when Kojima does something like that. But if EA or Ubisoft came to the table and was like, "Yeah, we people were enjoying this game too much, so we decided to change it," people should flip the fucking table and be like, "What are you doing? Stop doing
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
It's really funny, like juxtaposition of you know all of it.
Well, I think it's the privilege of time, I guess. Like, you know that Rockstar is going to put out a fantastic game. You know that Kojima is going to put out a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's something that's kind of earned, not given.
100%.
And then you also get like people's patience with that. Like obviously like there are people who don't think about the inner workings of video games and are really pissed off at GTA 6 right now. But I don't know, like Rockstar's not invincible. I think they're very good. But if you take 6 years to put out GTA 6 when you needed 10 and it's dog shit, like that's going to hurt the reputation forever. And since GTA 5 was, I mean, just so massive, so big for gaming, I mean, it got me into it was the first like GTA game that I played.
Mm-hmm.
I've said played like snippets of, honestly, the original GTA. We played that on PlayStation 1
Mm-hmm.
when we weren't supposed to. Um, and then I played a little bit of Vice City, barely any 4. I never had that game until after GTA 5.
Mm-hmm.
But, it got so many people into the series and it was just such a statement. And so now they kind of have to uphold that.
You can't afford to like fuck that up.
No. And again, this might come out and be $120 game, and I would gladly pay it.
And I
don't-
don't think we should rule out the fact that this game may not come out in May of next year. Like it might get pushed again.
Yeah, it could.
Uh,
Maybe they saw the news from Sony that PTA 6. I'm gonna scream. PS6. That doesn't sound good. I think they need to change their name. PS6 doesn't work.
I kind of
It's too
agree.
much alliteration.
There's too much
Too much
S.
alliteration on the back
Yeah.
end. Yeah. Maybe they're gonna wait for that to come out. Who knows?
Yeah, God, I hope not. Hopefully they see it as an opportunity to do what they did with GTA 5 and release it on the console they built it on, and then 2 years later release a version that plays ever so slightly better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we might have to just firmly call that PlayStation 6. You might not be able to shorthand that one.
No.
I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, wow, they all sound good when you shorthand them. PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. Fine. All flow. PS6, yeah, it feels clunky. It does not feel good.
Yeah, you're gonna have to skip PS7 too. That's not nearly as bad, but
yeah, we got years before that. We got like 4 years before they even start telling us about that. So, yeah, you like bring up a really good point. And like, again, like the fact that Kojima and Rockstar kind of have positioned themselves in such a way, you can read stuff like this and read about how like development at some point might have been hell, and they had to scrap stuff, and they had to go back to the drawing board and all that stuff, and you know that it's like, you can at least assume right now with both of them that it's for all the right reasons. Because yeah, like you said, Kojima's not going to release something that isn't a work of art. It might be crazy as fuck, and you might not understand it, but he will have.
that's how he's succeeded.
He will have completely delivered on what it is that he set out to do, and at all the while giving a well built and great experience. So, but yeah, I just thought all three of these articles kind of being around the same time just kind of really goes to show that like there's so much we don't understand about what it takes to make video games. Just like there's so much we don't understand about what it takes to do, I mean, anything outside of whatever it is that you probably specifically work on and do yourself. And so, yeah, I think it's good to always try and keep that perspective when playing a video game. Most of these things are nothing short of like a miracle that they were able to like make it and be playable and in your hands and everything like that. So, always good to have, and I think keep that perspective on things. Anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so. This Kojima thing is just so funny.
It's great. It's really great.
I can just see him like sitting behind the one-way glass of like a what do you call it? Like a group study room, and there's people playing the game, just having a blast.
He has like their game.
And him
he
just,
has like.
and him just.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
No. You go ahead.
I was gonna say
okay.
he nope. You. He's just muted. Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, he's like one-way glass. He can see all of their gameplay around him, and then he like sees one of them smile, and then quickly pivots to whatever is on their screen right now, and he goes, "We have to get rid of that."
Yeah, I was gonna.
They aren't supposed to feel that emotion in this moment.
my joke was a similar vein where he's behind the one-way glass and he sees everybody just like having a great time, and he turns around and just punches the wall.
Scrap it. Get Norman Reedus back in here. Oh man, God, I love Kojima.
Oh, it's so good. So good for the industry.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that Kojima documentary?
Um, the one from back when was that when like Death Stranding had like come out
Yeah,
around
is
that
that
time?
Connecting Worlds or something like that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I can't remember
Oh
now.
shit, it's on Disney Plus now. I didn't because I didn't have anywhere to watch it. Okay, now I'm gonna watch it.
There you go.
Good stuff. Somebody had the audacity to give it a 6 out of 6.
A 6 out of 6.
Kojima says. Kojima says perfect.
um. All right, and then one other thing that I wanted to highlight from this past week that is kind of just a quick hit, but I think a overall good sign. This is a bona fide good game, bad game, good news segment. PlayStation is finally removing some purchase restrictions for some of their Steam games. So, in case you don't remember, dear listener, back when Helldivers 2 was at its peak and everybody was having a blast with the game, PlayStation did a bit of a rug pull, basically forcing you, I believe, to have a PlayStation Network account in order to be able to play the game, but you didn't need that up front to be able to purchase the game, I think was the issue. Caused a whole big fallout. Ended up being that I think Steam forced the move that like just outright, if you can't have a PlayStation Network account in a country, you also just won't have the option to be able to buy the game. If PlayStation is gonna like force you to have a login and stuff like that. Believe that is how it was set up, but I might have some of those facts ever so slightly mixed up. But nonetheless, it's been found that just this past week, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered had a bunch of restrictions lifted in over 100 countries, and God of War Ragnarok, Helldivers 2, and Stellar Blade all also saw that as well. Stellar Blade just, I think, released on PC just probably within the past couple of weeks itself, and it's been doing really well. Kind of just again a sign of like this whole move to try and like get PlayStation titles and everything and exclusives, even if delayed, but getting them onto PC. At some point within the creation cycle is overall just like a no brainer move for PlayStation. It is noted that a couple of games do still have some of those restrictions in place, so this isn't like perfect just yet. But again, gotta open up these floodgates a little bit. Like let the people play. What's their slogan? Play has no limits, except if you're
That's what it
in,
used to be, at least.
unless you're in one of these 120 countries.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a good sign. Again, kind of in line with just again them even bringing their games to PC is obviously a triumph for the gaming community. Them lifting some of the restrictions that are in place to be able to even play them in the first place is obviously very good to see. Any thoughts, comments?
Not in particular. I honestly have nothing else to add
I just think it's
on top
like
of what you said.
I just think it's funny that like PlayStation does this. Obviously, it is a positive, so it gets a ton of positive spin.
Sure.
But it's just like, why the fuck is this an issue in the first place?
Right. and why was the onus on Steam to validate having a PlayStation account?
Well, I think what Steam did was Steam was trying to protect the users from even purchasing the game in the first place, because then you can run into issues with like getting refunds and stuff like that. So they were just like, no, we're not going to let you. And if you want to blame anybody, go blame PlayStation. Which
Right. But it's just
objectively
funny
is the
that
right move, but
yeah, it absolutely is. I think it's funny that the responsibility was on them to prevent people from doing this.
yep. Yeah, just so stupid. So silly. But yeah. Unless you have anything else, that's all we got for this week.
That's what we got.
So as always, thank you all so much for listening. If you could leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. You can go over to the YouTube channel and in the comment section there, let us know one of your favorite game development stories. Something wacky like this Kojima stuff. And other than that, if you could share the podcast with a friend, that would also be greatly appreciated. And we will talk to you next week.